Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 7 of the anime series, Arslan Senki, or the Heroic Legend of Arslan. And holy crap, this was definitely what I would call a multi-tiered episode. There were many different character dynamics and stories and arcs going on and unfolding in this particular episode. The chief amongst which, as we begin, answers my own sort of speculation toward the tail end of the previous episode. I was wondering if the woman we saw seeking justice, as they were saying, was actually the Queen Tahimine having made an escape. But we see in this episode that she didn't make an escape. She's actually been captured by the king of the Lusitanian army, this fat guy who's basically calling himself Innocentus the Seventh or whatever. Completely, at least to me, seemingly lazy and effeminate, probably diabetic with all the sugar water he wants and everything like that. And you have a couple of the guards talking about the history of Tahimine, how she has had many a guy fighting over her and killing other guys. Even one, Andragoras, he basically killed his own brother, seemingly, to get with her and everything like that. And so, it's almost like she's the Black Widow situation where any guy who gets with her ends up, packing at some point. And even in spite of this, and somewhat surprisingly, not only to the viewer, but to his own fellow, guards and people, this Innocentus decides he wants to take Tahimine as his queen. And so this really rubs his own brother the wrong way. And I'm seeing, at least, especially with the dialogue between this brother and Silver Mask, it seems like we may see something very similar playing out, where a brother kills his own brother to take, sort of the monarchy, and will he then put Tahimine to death, or will he decide he wants her, and everything like that. Apparently her exquisite beauty is one to be unmatched, and is very much, like Siren Song. It puts people under a spell, and they're even calling her a heathen, and in the case of this Innocentus guy, he's calling any guy who got with her previously heathens, and that's why they had such a, sort of bad end and everything. And it was his God and his faith putting her to the test. Yaldabaoth and whatever. Whatever. Shut up, fatso. You know what I mean? But then, of course, not only do we have this sort of derision in the ranks potentially being hinted at, we also have that which stands with Carlin. He and his people had to return effectively to Ecbatana empty-handed. They haven't been able to find Arslan. Narcissus has kept them on their toes and has been, 3 steps ahead of the game, so they can't figure out where Arslan is, and they come back empty-handed, and of course some of the men are punished for it, mildly, arguably, by Silver Mask's own, sort of suggestion. But then Carlin decides to muster his troops, and he's going to go after, Arslan in the only other way he knows possible. And when we catch up with Arslan, Daryun, Elam, and of course Narcissus, he's asking Narcissus, what might Carlin do? And basically the idea is go to these little Parsian villages, start setting them aflame, start killing the men, women, and children, and threaten that if any of them harbor the missing prince and all this kind of stuff, they will be tortured and they will be butchered. And, to try to drive Arslan through his own guilt out of hiding, or perchance stumble upon somebody who is hiding him and force him out, that kind of situation. And it's just horrendous. Arslan very much wants to take action, and this was almost like Narcissus was gauging him or testing him to see what his reaction would be, and Daryun calls him on it. He's like, if he hadn't elected to go and try to do something, try to prevent what Carlin is doing, you would have just sold him off and taken off, wouldn't you? And Narcissus doesn't actually come out and answer, but you can pretty much see that, he was really testing and gauging the prowess of leadership that Arslan feels, and his compassion. Once again, I think he's going to be testing Arslan along those lines probably every step of the way. We also, run into Kiev, who this is the encounter with this woman seeking justice, as we saw, as I say, referred to in the previous episode, Ferengis, and she is frickin' badass. Basically, you have Geeve seeing her riding on horseback and following a couple Lusitanian soldiers, or like a small, troop of them, and he knows that she's going to be in trouble if they notice her, and of course they do, and but he is in for the shock of his life when he's thinking, I'm going to walk in big pimp daddy and save this lady, and then she's going to owe me something. He finally catches up, and she's, killing those soldiers on her own with the bow and arrow. She is a formidable archer on her own. So it's absolutely hilarious, their little discussion that follows, where he's like, oh, I had deigned out of my good graces to rescue you. And she's like, you rescue me? And then their discussion talks about how evil and ominous the Lusitanians are, and how they're stealing all the wealth from people. And you see a little sort of funny moment where he's like tucking a bunch of gold into his bag so she doesn't see it and everything. And he asks her point blank, what was your mission here? She says she's an emissary of the Temple of Mithra, coming to, Ecbatana basically as an emissary. And he's like, well, what was your specific purpose? And we find that she's looking for Arslan, for better or worse. I mean, she's definitely not on the side of the Lusitanians, and I could see, as soon as I saw her and how formidable she was with the bow and arrow, and her saying that, I was like, no more perfect a queen for Arslan, a wife, whatever. So, I mean, this episode was friggin' awesome. And then you had the whole little, sort of smaller moment calling back on episode 1, that Lusitanian slave boy that Arslan let escape. He is now one of the Lusitanian soldiers, and he's going to protect what he thinks is this girl who has come under the advances forcibly of one of his own fellow soldiers. And it turns out to be Elam had gotten in drag and gotten in disguise to sort of figure out what's going on inside Ecbatana, and he oversees Carlin's army, mustering and going away. That's how they find out about that. But I thought it was very interesting that this boy Atole, he is the one, as I say, he was the slave boy Arslan let escape, and even he wants to try to find Arslan, not necessarily understanding him to be the prince, although he does surmise that Arslan was a boy of wealth, and to be that ignorant and everything about the slaves and all that stuff. But he wants to try to find the slaves he was captured with. Maybe he has friends, maybe that was his family. I think most of them were put to death, as we saw. I'm not exactly sure if any of them survived, but he thinks maybe if I find Arslan and all this stuff. And it's kind of interesting how that coincides with Elam's, being in drag and in disguise and trying to get information about what's going on inside Ecbatana. And they, run headlong right into each other, and they fight a little bit. And then, of course, sort of in an ironic twist, the slaves that are still being held in Ecbatana, circle around Atole. And they're like, when are we going to have our freedom? They're like accosting him over this. So it's quite interesting to maybe, give him a different perspective on something he himself had experienced. Give him a new sort of line of thinking in any case. And I can almost see all of these different characters who seem to stand apart from the ominous nature of the Lusitanian army, even those who are members within it, like this Atole boy. I can almost see him being someone who sidles with Arslan. It's Narcissus' belief that if Arslan merely calls to action, he will amass an army that could take down Lusitania, in the blink of an eye. And that, to me, is absolutely intriguing. That's why I'm continuing to watch this series. I can't wait to see what happens next. I can't wait to see if Innocentus's brother ends up assassinating him and getting him out of the way so he can be the true leader now of the Lusitanian faction, the movement. Whether or not they are going to put Queen Tehimene to death, or whether Arslan will be able to save her at some point, how that is going to mix and match with Geeve and this just badass Ferengis now, whether they're going to successfully quell what it is that Carlin is doing, trying to cover his own ass, because it was his failure that moved him to this point where he's going to slaughter innocents to cover that fact, because, he failed to bring Arslan back with him or kill Arslan, and now he's going to do whatever he can, even torturing and murdering innocents, to make up for that. So I hope, justice is swift in landing itself upon him. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 7 of Arslan Senki, The Heroic Legend of Arslan. If you've seen it, it was just an action-packed, awesome, and very story-driven episode with so many different facets, as I say, in play. And I couldn't be more excited to see where we go from here. So otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.